everybody at home. Dog fight. Polly and Jane on the Soul Searching with Polly and Jane. Look at us, we're back. Jane's been away in hot countries. I've been living here in a hot country.
My country was hotter than your country.
I bet it was.
To be honest, the temperature the other week in this country was very. Sorry, everyone. Hello, because I'm a little bit still like. Whoa. It was really hot anyway, wasn't it? But I was probably in the 40s. But it's not like I'm not used to it because I've been to the country before. It is their hottest time of the year. And I've been to Marrakesh, people, which I do like. Which you'd like, Polly, because their second language is French. So you'd like that. You'd sort of feel
Is
like.
it? Well, I can sort of ask for food in French, and that's about it.
I can say merci beaucoup. Merci.
Bonsoir.
Oui, oui, oui. Unlike Kerry, who kept walking around going, hola. And I went, we're not in Spain, Kerry. She did it in India. So it's just like a standing joke now. God knows what she does when she goes to Spain. But yes, so we're both a bit knackered, don't we? Because we're both feeling a little bit
Under the weather.
Yeah, I think
We're just
away.
having the conversation that Jane couldn't even have given it to me because I haven't actually physically been in your company for
You
a
can't.
good few days.
You can't.
But I feel rough. Jane feels rough. And yeah, we're just hoping that this roughness decides to vacate the building before tomorrow because we're doing an event tomorrow.
Because tomorrow we got another event. It's every weekend we've had something to do, haven't we, work-wise? And we have got another event tomorrow. And for anyone that might have forgot, who might live in the area, we are doing an intimate evening of mediumship with a Q&A with our guest, Peter Goddard. And it's going to be in Haylen Island, which is where we do our development group. So we do feel like it's our second home. We have opened up some tickets on the door, but we are still keeping it small because obviously it wouldn't be intimate, would it, if we filled the whole hall?
Not really.
It's work, would it? But if anyone is interested, you know where you can find Polly and me. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on this channel. You can message on this channel. But if you're not local, no, you can't come because it's not being televised, is it? But I think, if we're truthful, we're probably a little bit tired because since our last podcast, which we will apologise for actually, because we do think we've got some gremlins in the system or some aliens, which we keep saying we're going to talk about one show, because the last few times on a retrograde or any planetary stuff going on, we've had complications with our recording studio. We think our guest is on there, and then as soon as I go to edit it, ready for the show to go out, guest has disappeared. Or in Neshla's case the other week, she was started there and then she disappeared. We don't know how, we don't know why, but someone keeps doing it with our... I reckon they just want us.
Well, might be it.
That could be it, couldn't it? But we do apologise, but we still put the show out because, as Polly always says, she'd rather I put it out without editing it. But I only edit it because we have a lot of ums, ahs, and no swear words. We don't swear on here, do we? But also, sound is quite poor. So when you edit it, it gets rid of all that background stuff. So that's why I edit it. But apart from that, what we are is what you get. So we put it out still, didn't we? But we did a little video, a little live on Facebook of where we were at the time, because we were working away, but we had some late nights there, didn't we?
Very late. In fact, I don't think we've actually recovered from that weekend
I
yet
think,
either.
and I think that's what it is. I think we've had all that heat where we couldn't rest properly. We went and did that weekend event. We had to drive up there and we had quite late nights. And then I've had to travel on a long weekend, which was lovely. It was a lovely 60th birthday celebration. But I think we're just too old, aren't we, to be doing these late nights?
Well, one day. We'll rest when we're dead.
Yeah. But anyway, talking of late nights and talking of not getting enough sleep, what's our topic today, Polly?
Well, I had a really weird dream last night, so I thought we'd talk about dreams. Now, anyone that knows me very well knows that I have some really random dreams, but actually, more of recent times, I haven't had. But then I'll have the odd one or two, which is a little bit horrific. So interpret this one for me, Jane. Last night's dream. Now, this is a recurring dream because I've had it more than once now, not consecutively in a row, just randomly. So I've got a grandson and a granddaughter in real life, as you know, and I have had this recurring dream now. It's probably been about 3 times that I'm looking after my little granddaughter who's 3, and we're just playing sort of in the lounge. And then she looks at me and she says, "Nanny, what's wrong with your hands?" And I like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Why is there holes in your hands?" And so I look at my hands and there is big gaping holes, not blood, just gaping holes. And there's nothing inside my hands. It's like I can see right through them. Like there's torn, and then I can see through my hands.
Oh, can
Now
you?
the real,
There's still bits of your hand there, but you've just got holes all over it.
like my fingers are there,
Yeah.
but like there's like maybe a big like split. Like like if you've got a puppy and they chew things a lot, and there's like a bigger hole and there's a smaller hole, and there's nothing in my hands. There's no blood. There's no flesh. It's just nothing in my hands.
Yeah. Is that?
But
Is
but
there
the weird
anything
thing
else
is
split?
that, well, it finishes when I'm looking at my hands thinking, "Oh my God, that's weird." Now, obviously, if that was in real life, you'd be absolutely horrified, mortified, and you'd be like rushing yourself to the local hospital, wouldn't you? But I was more concerned about what everyone else would think of my hands.
So
But nothing.
you would just go, oh, that's weird. I hope no one noticed this. But probably really
Yeah.
I went swimming.
Like like I wanted to hide them
Imagine doing the breaststroke swimming and all that water shooting through. Maybe that's what it's called. Maybe was this? When did you have this dream? Last night.
last night.
We did talk about Avatar last night. Maybe you was having some strange.
I wasn't blue. I was like normal me. And apart from I've got holes in my hands and no blood and flesh.
See, for me, that wouldn't be abnormal because, as you know, when I broke my leg 6 years ago, I got told I had osteoporosis, and that's exactly what your bones look like. Your bones have holes in them. So if I dreamt that, I'd be thinking, "Oh my God, that osteoporosis is getting bad."
Well, it's my skin, not my bones. It was like the skin open, like you look at them, you can just see right through them, and you.
But that's what I'm
But
saying. Imagine if the skin
yeah,
wasn't in it and it was bones. That's at your bones. That's what osteoporosis looks like inside this inside. So for me, I'd be thinking, God, I'm getting worse. For you, so do you want me to deter
yeah. Interpret my.
interpret that? So I'd say it's like money's going through your hands.
Huh?
Because because giving and receiving in the old wives' tale, aren't they? But they are giving and receiving because we know that there's a more spiritual side and there's a more physical side. We also know you've got your yin and yang. And obviously, when you're working with energy healing, we're using our hands a lot. We're using our hands to read. We use our hands to heal. I use my hands a lot like this when I'm doing demos. So our hands are really important and they are part of our energy. So as a healer, that's where all our energy is coming out of us, isn't it, when we're helping others? I think because, the old saying, left hands leaving, right hands receiving. Which one had the bigger holes?
Do you know? I don't know, but they both had holes in.
So still for me, but then it's easy for me to say this because we know each other really well. But I would say at the moment, and we are all like this at the moment, it's like you're getting money in one hand and it's going out the other.
Mm.
So it's a bit like that. But why was your daughter? Well, you've always got your granddaughter, so she would again. It doesn't seem a worrying dream, does it? Not really. Not. I mean,
No, well, no, 'cause I wasn't scared. I was just more self-conscious.
yeah,
That was
but that's what I'm
probably
saying.
what it
You've got
was.
your granddaughter in there, which is nice. There's nothing other untoward about it, other than your hands look like they had holes in them. But that to me is like things are correct. Also, not just financially, it could just be things are out of your control at the moment.
Mm.
So you can't control stuff. I mean, you're trying to sell your house. You have no control over that. It's just, when someone comes along. So it could just be, well, didn't you Google it? You're normally a Googler.
Well, I did. I did Google it, and it
Yeah,
said
see?
it can be to do with insecurities. So it was almost like I can't. It said like something. It said something about. I can't remember exactly what it said now, but it said something about the hands can be very. It depends what they're doing, in the dream. Obviously, hands, but it specifically chat GPT decided because I googled it, but well, I didn't Google because I don't use Google. I don't like Google. I DuckDuckGo'd it.
Da, 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 da.
And then you get a little part come up which is obviously chat or like AI. So it obviously scanned through all of the things to find out what it was going on. But it was saying about an insecurity thing, which was really weird. So obviously while we're talking about dreams, I don't think we've said this online, have we, about my Jeffrey Dahmer dream? Have we?
I don't know. Maybe in our first ever podcast. I don't know, because in one of our first podcasts, we were on about who we'd want to sit on the bench with, and I don't think either of us wanted to sit on the bench with
No.
Dharma.
So I had this dream about Jeffrey Dahmer, and I can't exactly remember all of it now, but obviously at the time it was massively significant. But basically, me and Jane, yourself obviously, were working in a nursing home or some sort of nursing home or care home type thing. And and Jane was it? I can't remember it. Was it you asked me to help change Jeffrey Dahmer's nappy?
No, you asked me to do it because you didn't want to do it.
Well, that was it. And I asked you to do it and you didn't want to do it. But I think you did in the end. And And I was, like, obviously really uncomfortable because I was obviously just in there on my own, and then you know, you came in on it, changing his adult diaper,
You know the way
and then
I'll change the serial killer's nappy.
and then and
Oh
then the
my
other part of the dream was we put him in the boot of a car, and his blonde hair was hanging out of the boot, and then we were driving away with him in the car. I mean, what the hell?
Come on, like me, we watch a lot of Netflix when we're trying to wind down. You had just watched, what is it? They call it the Monster series, isn't it? Where they every now
Yeah,
and again do a
yeah.
series on a well-known killer. And you had just watched the Jeffrey Dahmer. And I remember because I watched it thinking, oh, yeah, that was cool, yeah. But you kept going, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to. And you kept watching it, but you kept saying to me, oh, I don't know if I want to watch it. And then so you watched something that you knew was probably a little bit much, knowing what he's actually has done, because we only know certain bits, don't we? We don't go
Mhm.
unless you're into a serial killer thing and read loads of books on it, you're not really you know who they are, but you don't really look
Yeah.
at their stories. So you probably were so intense with what you found out in that Netflix series, and then obviously because we worked together a lot, you just probably assumed I'd change his nappy if it ever came to it. I mean, then
Jane's saving me.
let's be fair, then we all went away, didn't we, last year for a retreat and stayed in a caravan with some of our group, and we both had watched the Glyn
Indeed.
Ed Glyn story under that monsters thing, and you spent the entire weekend doing what?
Mother.
Hello, mother. I mean, so you
Oh,
probably get
mother.
so engrossed with these things. I'm not surprised you dream. I'm surprised you didn't dream about him and making something out of.
I love a serial killer thing, but not that what they've done, but I just find it so interesting. And do you know what I find really interesting? How they catch them. I think I love like a true life
Yeah,
documentary about how
I
they
think
find
it's
them.
more interesting now with the DNA side of things and forensics. But when you think back
Mm.
years ago, they wouldn't have had any of that, and that's how
No,
people
nothing.
got arrested, got sentenced, and there wasn't enough evidence to prove different. But obviously, the good thing with DNA and that now, they can actually overturn some of these wrongful convictions. But yeah, so I think that's just your weird warped mind when the Jerry
Maybe.
Garrett. You had another one over that. Wasn't it something to have been a lesbian?
Believe you just said that on air.
Yeah, it really was though, wasn't it? Something to do. Yeah, but again, I was in it. I was the lesbian, wasn't I? I mean, no disrespect to lesbians. We have no problem. But the things that this woman dreams about, and I don't know. I mean, maybe
No, I that took me.
I can't actually
I
remember that one. I think that was pre Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh look, she's that's that funny. She's knocked it over. Or was that?
No, it was the cat. No, that one was about that, and I think we'd obviously had this conversation. Again, if anyone knows me, I'm in a long-term relationship with my partner and all happy. But in this particular dream that you're talking about, you had obviously got fed up of being single in this dream, and you decided that you were gay, and then you kept coming on to me all the time, and you kept like trying to like not touching me or anything, but just like really like, you know, laying it on, you know, and it would be a really good idea and flirting. And then I was like, it's almost like I got fed up of you doing it. So I said, okay. You went, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And then you walked off.
Just for the record, single or not, I haven't swayed that way. But again, there was a massive hype at one point. I mean, that is going back quite a while. That's a few years ago. There was a lot of hype, wasn't there, about people being bisexual, asexual, a cat, a dog, whatever. There was a lot of stuff. It was all over the news, like everything when they want to try and push it and brainwash people. Everywhere you went, no one was either female, male. I mean, what was a heterosexual? If anyone asked that question now, the youngsters of today would probably wouldn't get the right answer on multiple choice, would they? Bless them. So I think then with you get quite involved and deep into things if something's going on. You must go off to sleep and it's all still going around
Well,
in your
I do.
ADHD
That's
head.
the thing. I mean, without a doubt, my little ADHD brain does go large on things. And you know just as much that when I have lost total interest, I start counting pencils in tins and my legs
And
start
your
shaking
legs start
radically.
tapping. So I know when we're at an event or we're in the audience and we're not as good in the audience because if we're a bit bored, I can tell your whole body language starts. Or if you're annoyed, if you know what someone's saying or doing is totally wrong or not integrity wise, your whole body, and I just sit there. And think, here she goes. She's going to do this.
I know what I do.
Yeah.
I know I can feel it happening. I suddenly sit backwards in my chair and I usually fold my arms, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's your annoyed stance. So when you know someone's talking rubbish, you do that. But when you're bored, you are like that child in school that should be brought to the front just to keep
yeah,
an eye on.
flicking rubbers and
Yeah.
chucking pens at people.
So if you, I'll tell you what, because I embarrassed you with your lesbian dream. What about the one? I mean, God,
You didn't embarrass me, you just took me by surprise.
I mean, this is the thing as well. I remember doing a little study on dreams because there was actually a host on SPTV. I can't remember her name now. That used to do a dream show. She's
Like dream analysis, yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
I can't think what her name was. So she used to break down dreams, didn't she? It was quite fascinating. But I always remember when I used to do my little bit of research that if you remembered the dream, there was actually some relevance to it. But if you, I mean, we dream all the time. I've heard people, even in our group, say, I don't dream. But they might not.
Everyone dreams.
Everyone dreams. They just don't know. They don't remember they dream. I mean, I'm
So
so
if you're
restless.
dreaming, aren't you dreaming in the REM state?
Yeah, yeah,
And then if you wake up in that REM state, you'll probably likely remember your dream.
yeah.
But
But
if you're in a deep sleep and wake up,
You
then you're
won't
not
you won't
likely
you won't
to.
remember it unless, like in my case. So I've always had quite an active imagination. I mean, obviously, when I was younger, people said I was just OTT with my imagination, and obviously no one believed I could see dead people. So I just grew up thinking I was OTT. But my dreams were always elaborate. But as I started doing my spiritual work, the lights going out. Look,
I
time
just
for,
saw that.
time for bed. Honest, I don't know what's up with the electricity in my house. I think it's do 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 do
It's the
do.
ghoulies.
I don't overly need it because it's still quite bright. I put it on just to keep the screen. But yeah, so my dreams when I started working them out, if I'm emotionally upset, if I've got emotional stuff going on, because I'm seen as quite a hard-faced bitch, good old Jane, she can cope. People that have known me just think I've got no feelings or am quite detached from things, and those that do know me always think, when's she going to crack, really, like the ones that really know me. And I think because I've always had that sort of air about me, I do probably a lot of my emotional state in my dreams
Yeah.
because I'm trying to keep it together in the day to day. Not for me, to be fair, it has always been for other people. So I sort of started analysing it and working out what I was doing, and then obviously spiritually I started realizing that, especially when my dad passed after my best friend had passed, that because I found it hard to connect to them as a medium, they came and visited me in my dreams. And when they did that, I knew that they were coming to give me messages or they were coming to talk to me. I started sort of separating in the silly stuff, like when I've been whizzing around Star Trek. I was Captain Kirk, but Captain Jane Morton on the Starship. So I think I was starting to sort of analyse what was just silly dreams because I was a bit overactive before I went to bed, what was emotional dreams, and then what I was actually visualising. So I had to start putting them in boxes, and I became quite obsessed at one point about what dreams meant. So my embarrassing one, but embarrassing for me, when I was going through quite an emotional state after I broke my leg and I was feeling quite low, and obviously I've said it before, I was at
Keep talking for a sec. I'm still listening.
a state in my life where I thought, oh, do you know what? No one's going to care if I'm here, and like, oh, what if I go? I remember going to bed and I was feeling very upset and I was feeling very sort of wayward because obviously I couldn't get about. I was I was dependent on everyone else. And I went to bed and I dreamt, and I don't know if you remember me telling you this, I dreamt that I was on a double-decker bus going down the Brighton Road to the
I
sea.
do remember that one, yeah.
So there I am on a double-decker bus. Now, I don't get on buses. I can just about climbing out of a car these days. But I obviously used to be the transport person for the university, and I did the training to be the permit holder for the buses. So that's the only connection I've ever had with buses. But there I am on a double-decker bus. Couldn't work out why it was double-decker and not just a single, especially in my broken leg state. And I'm going down the roads that head towards sea. So they always, if anyone's been to Brighton in England, they go down, don't they? All the road. If you're coming from the seafront, you're going up towards the shops. If you're coming from the shops and the bars back to the seafront, you're going down. So I'm on this bus going down. So if the fact it was going down is probably the fact I felt that I was going down in person, in my mood. And then coming towards me was the sea, like a big tsunami wave. And
Which is
and
all
then
emotions, isn't it?
yeah. And then at one point, I thought I was on the bus. And then the next point, I realised I'm the only one on the bus and I'm driving it, but there's no steering wheel. It was mental. And then the wave hit me and I woke up and I had wet the bed. Now what do you want to make of that one?
Well, anything to do with transport is about going forward, isn't it? So, or if it feels out of control, it's because you feel like it's like you can't see your way forward, or your way forward feels out of control. I do know that because I do a bit of dream analysis. It's just I'd never seen the hands one before, and so yeah, if like you have a dream of something driving erratically. Or you're driving, or I had one once when I was in the back of the car and there was no one driving, and I had to put my hands over the front to steer.
Oh, see, I was
That was
driving
weird.
quite well, considering I haven't actually got a license to drive a bus.
The
I've
so
only got the ones you run them.
that's what the transport is. But then the wave of tsunami is actually a wave of emotions because, as you know, and a lot of tarot readers, anything that has got like water in the tarot is going to be to do with your emotions. The cups, for example. On the dream analysis, anything to do with water. I mean, if it's water, if you're like bathing in beautiful, glistening, calm water, it will mean that things are starting to feel more calm or you're in a better place. If you start dreaming that you're in a canoe out of control down a mental river, then obviously it's not good. Your emotional state isn't
When
good.
you're dreaming the tsunami wave is coming uphill to you,
It's almost like then you can't avoid
yeah,
something
it's
that is going on in your
literally,
life.
yeah. I mean, it was weird, and but the weird thing is, I remember when I realised I'd wet the bed. Grown woman in her 50s, haven't done that since a child. When I realised what I'd done, and I'd really wet the bed, I absolutely broke down in tears because it was like, oh my god, that indignant thing of even in the middle of the night. I've had to strip myself down a shower, strip the bed down. I think it was something like 3 o'clock in the morning, which again, 3 o'clock is quite a witchy hour between 3 and 4. So it's when like you said, if you're in the REM, you're more than likely coming out of it between 3 and 4 because you're going into other stuff. And I remember just thinking I was more mortified about waking up wet in the bed, and I wish I'd seen the tsunami quicker. I mean, I don't get embarrassed that easily, do I? So I don't care who watches this and thinks, oh my God, she wet the bed. She's a grown woman. But actually, it just shows how bad my emotional state was at that time for that to happen. But in a weird way, and I told a client this the other day, crying is obviously good for the soul. It is good for us. I know not even when it's bad situations, but we need to cry. It's about release.
Mm.
When I got up from that the next day, when I got over it, when I got over the indignity of wetting myself, I mean, and hiding the sheets, I didn't have anyone to hide it from apart from my youngest who was living with me. Um, I actually felt relieved. I actually felt like I'd turned a corner in everything that was going on in my life. So for me, it was a massive deal. So then there I was again analysing, thinking, okay, that's that one. So when I have really weird or quite prominent dreams like that, I know that I'm clearing, I'm actually releasing, I'm getting rid of. I haven't had any more tsunami waves, people. And I've not had anything reference the other end. Haven't woke up, done that. But it is weird, isn't it? But I had, obviously we do our spirit release work and we do lots of weird and wonderful things in that, and that's in a trance state. But I remember having a soul realignment done with somebody, and she told me in that I was a dream master. And I thought, well, what's a dream master? And I had told her after we discussed it that I have quite vivid dreams, but I didn't know that a lot of it was visions. I mean, I've dreamt about disasters and then they've sort of happened. Not quite how I've dreamt them, but they've happened. So that, that is a bit of a worry because some of these were back when I was younger and we didn't have enough media coverage for me to have even heard it or seen it. And then it happened. And I'm talking about dreaming it 2 days before and then it's on the news 2 days later. That was a bit weird. So I used to keep that one quiet because I think they would have locked me up back in the late 80s. But I remember her saying, oh, you're a dream master. And I said, what's a dream master? And she said, you literally, when you go to sleep, go in other people's dreams. I thought, no wonder I'm bloody hectic in my dream.
You just reminded me of something.
And I went, why do I do? I mean, I am a nosy bugger and I do like to know things and I do like my research, but I thought that's a bit rude, isn't it? Going in without any permission. But she said it's part of my soul to make sure everyone's safe. So she reckons that's what I do. And that's why I'm such vivid. And funny enough, she's given me hypnotherapy since. And same thing happened when I was under. I was flitting, and well, I ended up trancing, to be honest. I don't think I did hypnotherapy. But it's weird because I always remember that stuck in my head. Nothing else really from the soul realignment, but more about her saying I'm a dream master. And she said that's why a lot of it doesn't make sense when I try and piece things together because I could have been in more than one dream. But they're not my dreams. I'm going in
Yeah.
everyone else's.
So weird you said that. And it's funny because When Maya, my guide, comes to in trance, she says that she's like the something about dreams and illusions, which is very interesting. But the other thing you've just reminded me of before, now about a good 6 times before, people have texted me and said, "You were in my dream last night and you gave me a message from my loved one." Right? Last week, I think you might have been away.
With you.
Somebody
I was
texted
away
me.
with you.
No, the week just gone, so the weekend just gone that you've been away. And somebody texted me and said, you were in my dream last night and you gave me a message from my dad. So that's a seventh person over a matter of years.
So that's
Isn't that
interesting then,
weird?
isn't it? I keep thinking I must do
Yeah.
more work on that and see what a dream master does, but obviously we've got too much other things to worry about. But yeah, but the weird thing is that if he's watching, but if any of his family is, so what? In that, after that, I had dreamt that my ex-husband number two, the runaway as we call him, the one that upped and went and dropped his son, he was in quite a bad way and was going to hang himself. Now, some would say that might have been wishful thinking on my part in my dream, but despite anything, you know, I am not a hateful person and I have no remorse, really. I just remove myself from people and that's it. I don't go wishing them harm. I might come across a little bit up my own bum, but I actually am quite kind-hearted. And I woke up quite upset because I thought, oh my God, why have I dreamt that? And obviously I'd already started my spiritual stuff and I was already doing my tarot. And I thought, well, maybe he has. I'll soon find out if he's left Drew anything. That if he has. I haven't dreamt that one yet. But it was really quite deep and prominent. And I was saying to him, don't do that. You may not like me, but what about your son? How do you think your son's going to cope? It's bad enough you won't talk to him and you've totally wiped him out of your life. How will he cope if you've taken your own life? And I was removing the noose from his neck. And I remember, I mean, it's been gone over 10 years, but I remember it was with the divorce took nearly 2 years because anyone think we was celebrities. But I remember it wasn't long after the divorce, and I knew, and I'd found out he actually had remarried because obviously, apparently, there wasn't anyone else, but clearly there was. And I remember it was all around then, and I just thought that's really weird. And I remember when I woke up, it really felt like I had been with him. I could even tell you what he was wearing. So that was weird. That was weird. And I know when I've told a couple of people and they've joked, you know, like Kerry, because you want him dead. I said I don't want anyone dead. I'm not that sort of person. I don't wish anyone dead. I feel sorry for him. He's missing out on his son. No, I've got no reason to wish him dead. He's living a life of misery, isn't he, by doing what he's done. But it was so thingy. I thought I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know if he had done that because no one's going to tell me. But I felt it was weird. I was taking the noose off his neck and everything.
Weird.
So it is weird. Now, what other weird dreams have you had?
Gosh, loads over the years. I used to have a recurring dream when I was a child.
That's what I was going to say, because the recurring ones are when we're not listening or when it's something coming from a trauma. So if we did a past life and something came up in a past life that keeps repeating, and we often find that, don't we, in our spirit release work, that a past life repeats all through the lives, that can come out in a recurring dream. That's why you have them.
Well, I was only young, probably 4, 5. Hang on, old would I have been?
Don't ask me.
No,
I'm
5,
quite good at
6.
psychic work, but I'm not going to guess that.
6 tops. I don't know if I was that old, but I remember having this dream because I used to live in a place called Broughton Astley in Leicestershire. That's where I was born. I was born in the house, and round the house, it was a detached house, and it had garden all the way around. I remember it 'cause we had a sandpit in the front garden. We had, other bits and bobs going on, which I can remember really well. And I used to have this dream that this man took my brother, my younger brother, and killed him and put him, there's a pram, an old like Silver Cross pram with a box on top, and he laid my brother floppy over the top of it. And every time I woke up absolutely screaming, blue murder, literally. I can remember that dream really well.
Had you been watching Chitty Chitty Bang Bang with the child catcher?
I don't know if I was allowed to watch that at that age, but I could have been. But no, it was a recurring dream where I was so scared he was going to get killed.
And he's younger he's older than you, younger than you.
No, he's 2.5 years younger.
So maybe you had a responsibility towards him. And did you feel that you had to keep an eye on him? Not saying your mum and dad didn't do that.
Well, no, because also in real life, I remember he was annoying me, so I strapped him into an old pushchair that we had. They were really those real metally pushchairs that you used to get. I can't remember what make it was now. Probably again Silver Cross. But I remember taking my brother, strapping him in, and putting him at the end of the garden, and walking back in the house and playing with my toys. And nobody knew until they heard him screaming.
That is, I mean, that's quite a scary dream, isn't it?
Yeah, really scary. And I remember I used to wet the bed when I was obviously having that dream because it was terrifying.
It's funny enough, I've took my lovely mum shopping today, despite feeling rough as whatever,
Tough.
because partner's car's packed out, and actually at the age of 80 plus, he shouldn't be in that car anyway. You wouldn't want to be driving towards him, I can tell you, if you was in your car. So I said, look, I'll take you shopping. She said, oh, you've just come back and you're tired. And I went, no, I'll take you shopping. I won't be doing it again in a hurry. An hour and 45 minutes later, she only got a small little trolley. It was like divvy, what. But she was talking because obviously since her stroke, she's sometimes goes back a bit more in time, not because of dementia or anything like that, but I think she just likes to remember things and she's trying to keep her brain active. And we were in the car going back to hers with her shopping, and we passed an old house near where she was living as a child. And she went, oh, I remember that house. I used to go in there when I was a kid. It's only got 2 bedrooms upstairs. And there was 2 boys and 2 girls, and they all had to share a room. And she was really going on, and I'm sitting there laughing because it's not far. It's like a couple of blocks, 3 blocks away from where we were living as a child. And I went, yeah, Mum. I said, Mum, that was standard back in the day. She went, but I always used to think when I went to school, how do all they cram in this room? And I went, bet there's a lot of dreams going on in that room. Can you imagine a room filled with kids and there's all this stuff? And
God, yeah.
then it triggered me because then I went, oh, hang on a minute. Now, we lived in a big house. We were very lucky. It was quite a big house. We had 2 big reception areas. My dad was, she went, the man was a builder, the father. And I went, well, yeah, Dad was a carpenter. I didn't notice we got any extensions and stuff going on. So again, I was reminding her that back in that time, despite what your trade was, you didn't think about modernising homes and building extensions because they weren't about, that's a materialistic thing, isn't it? And back then, you just got on and survived, and everyone was happy. So I said, it don't matter if you was a builder or carpenter, they tended to go off and do proper jobs in like building for big places. You didn't renovate your house because you didn't want the bifoldal doors and all that.
I can remember when I used to think people that had a conservatory were really rich.
Well, and that's what I said to her. So an extension was a
Yeah.
conservatory, but it was the original conservatory because we had it with stained glass windows at the end and the flat corrugated roof thing. So I went, hang on a minute, Mum. Me, David, and Andrew used to share a bedroom, and you know, like your box room. Well, we're quite lucky. We got quite big bedrooms in our houses, haven't we? Where we are, but you know,
Mm.
like the old for houses where you have like 2 good sized bedrooms, and then you have what they call like the box room, which is like the single bedroom. We were in that because my nan lived with us, and she had the middle bedroom. My mum and dad had the front bedroom, and then we had our bathroom next to that, and we were all 3 in that room for years. So my bed would be in the middle. David would go down one side. I'd be across the window there, and then Andrew would be the other side. So we literally, our beds topped and tailed, and that's how we all slept for years. And then my dad finally cleared the loft out, the attic, because we had actual stairs to the attic. Quite creepy that house was when I look back. See, that was probably more my spiritual side picking up on that. And they moved my brother, my oldest brother, up there, being the eldest, because it's like 3.5 years between us, into that room. So then me and Andrew shared that room. And the 2 twin beds in that room were still tight, so God knows how we slept in it. And she's moaning about it, and I'm going, you crammed me in that room for years. But I used to have really bad, vivid dreams of monsters and entities. Funny enough.
Did you? You
All
probably were seeing them.
well, I'm going to tell you something in a minute. All those things that we've now seen in our spirit release, I used to dream about. And I would wake up crying and getting into my older brother's bed. He'd kick me and go, get out, it's whatever. It wasn't very nice to me when we were young. And I'll be going, please let me in your bed, David, because I used to see all those things and it used to scare me and I couldn't get back to sleep. So I wasn't actually going to tell that story, but it's reminded me of my mum bringing it back. Because can you imagine being in a small bedroom and you have got a spiritual, psychic connection and no one's ever took you seriously?
Mm.
And you've got your brothers in there farting, belching and whatever else. So I've just looked up Dream Master because funny enough, I haven't done it before. So in astral travel, and you're better saying this, how do you say it? Esoteric practices.
Esoteric?
There's
Esoteric?
esoteric practices. A dream master, such as I, is a term used to describe a guide, entity, or a highly adept practitioner who has achieved full conscious control over their dream state. Dreamscape on the astral plans is what they call it. Depending on the specific spiritual or occult tradition, the concept is broken down into a few categories. Spiritual guides and entities. In a belief system, a dream master is an advanced non-physical entity or spirit guide assigned to help a practitioner. Well, that can't be me, can it? Because I'm here. I'm here in the flesh. Their primary role includes guiding astro protection, interpreting symbols. The adept practitioner. This term also refers to a human practitioner, so I must be one of these, who has mastered, get me, lucid dreaming and astro projection. In the context, a dream master possesses the ability to maintain waking consciousness while transitioning wakefulness to a sleep state, mainly a hypnotic state, and shift their awareness and their form into others' dreams. Well, I add that to my CV on, yeah. Spiritual. Oh, I'm a dream master. What can I help you with? They manipulate, in the wrong hands, the dream environment consciously while fully aware that their physical body is still resting. What's that?
It is weird.
And then they talk about occult systems and archetypes and how numerology and different things. It goes on and on and on. But now that is interesting, because although I don't understand any signs, and I've said this to you before about runes, I always recognise signs and I recognise symbols, and I have a thing about things like that, but I don't understand how I know it.
Mm.
But I don't know what they actually mean, because obviously in this state we don't.
Yeah, but perhaps you don't need to know. Perhaps it's just already ingrained in
Well,
here.
yeah,
And
I
when
don't
you
probably
see
need
that,
it in this lifetime.
yeah,
Weird how they draw me in, and I can draw and doodle things, and I don't understand what I'm doing. But obviously in a previous, I probably did. So I don't know why I never looked up what a dream master was. But don't mess with me, because I will come for you.
because I'll get in your dreams.
But it is weird, and I remember thinking, Dream Master, I can't enough problems with my own bloody dreams. I can't be popping in yours. But how many of our group have said, oh, you were in my dream last night, or I dreamt
Mm.
about you two last night? I mean, we are funny. I can see why they dream about us. We are the comedian mediums. So, we are probably fun in their dreams as well.
But I think sometimes as well, there's that symbolic form of us where we are helping to mentor them,
Mm.
and that they would see us as maybe a safe space. So in their dream, if it wasn't us jumping into their dreams, for example, and it was more of a symbolic form, it could just be that they're associating us with something spiritual because it's a safe place in their dream,
It's a safe
if
place
that
because
makes sense.
they recognise safeness with us teaching.
Yeah. So, or it could be that we are physically, or not physically, spiritually jumping into their dreams, which could be fun.
So, to all members that may watch this podcast when it goes out on Sunday, please do not worry. We have got a disclaimer to stop you suing us. And no, we're not jumping in your dreams willy nilly. And we tell you off to your face if we're going to tell you off. You don't need to worry about us popping in there. But yeah,
No, like you said,
don't start analysing your dream if we are.
half my problem is trying to actually physically get to sleep in the first place. So,
Well, this is why I find that weird, because sleep's never been one of my best fortes. I used to be a very late to bed person and a very up early in the morning person. Didn't matter when I was young, but old age is getting the better of me. But now I'm still restless at night, so I can't settle, but I will still wake up. I mean, especially how it's been hot and sunny. I'm up at 6. My eyes are open. I'm like looking around the room going, oh, don't make me get up. My body can't get up anyway. It takes an hour to get my body moving. But I have to keep telling myself, go to bed at a decent time, because your sleep is getting smaller and smaller. And I am very active between the hours of 3 and 4. I will wake up nearly every other night. I slept through last night at 3:33 or 4:44.
all the fours,
All the
44.
4s and all the 3s. I don't wake up at any other time.
Well, I do wake up for the toilet because I don't have a tsunami.
But even if I did, and then the only time I might get up for the toilet is if I'm feeling unwell. Like I said, I feel like a little bit of a cold's come in.
And there is another reason why I have been getting up so early. It's black and white and
Yes.
furry and seems to make an awful lot of noise at a stupid o'clock.
I haven't got one of those either. And if anyone's wondering what one of those are, that's actually a dog with 4 legs. It's nothing else.
It's a puppy.
It's nothing,
The
nothing
puppy
from
we didn't know we
Alzheimer's.
needed,
Is it?
but she's ever so sweet, and I wouldn't be without her. But she's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and louder and louder and louder. And
Mm.
it's like in the morning, it's like, oh, Mother, come
But
and get me up.
I mean, I know they say it's a witching hour, but why I have those exact times is absolutely freaky. And the other thing that I've been doing for months now, because I keep telling you, I keep seeing the sequences of numbers. So I'll get up. One day it's all the odds. It'd be like 10, 10, 12, 12, 14, 14, 16, 16. This is the clock, people, in case you're wondering. I will suddenly turn and the clock on the cooker's double. I pick my phone up, it's double. I'm in the car driving, it's suddenly double. We were driving. We were
went through a
driving last
massive
week, weren't
stage of
we?
that.
Yeah, and we were driving last week, and I went 14, 14, and then I kept doing it because we was on a long drive. But then the next day it's odd numbers, and then it goes back to even numbers, and there's just no rhyme or reason to it. But it's been
No,
odd.
just synchronicities.
It is
That's
just
all it is.
constant. But what does but what does synchronicities mean?
Well, I think it's about noticing the signs, noticing things, and knowing that obviously pretty much all we do is spiritual, isn't it? At the end of the day, I know we're friends and we can have a normal conversation about other things as well, but a lot of what we do is spiritual. Our work is either holistic or spiritual. Neither of us do anything else work wise now, do we? That is anything other than that. It's not. And I think that as we evolve, that all these numbers and repeating things keep happening because we're supposed to notice them. I mean, some people will say, I see 1111 all the time, and that's the only number they seem to mention. Whereas me and you can be, like you said, I had a massive spate of it it lasted for months and months, and it's eased up now. But I always seem 1111, always.
So 11 in general has always been quite a strong number for me anyway. Things have always happened around the 11 or the number one. Number one or the 11's always been, but I've never had, because I've seen 1111, that's also one of my secrets on the clock. But I've never gone, oh, 1111, oh, it means something. Number 11, it means something. I actually thought it was legs 11 and I was going to win the bingo national, but that never happened either. But
What?
it is weird because I took my driving test. As some people know, not a lot of people, I started driving at 17, took my test and failed, took it again 4 weeks later and failed again. Had a little break, took another lot of driving, took my test and failed, took the test again 4 weeks later because you could then. That's, I mean, they can't do it now. They've got a long waiting list, haven't they? And failed again. And I ended up over the years doing blocks of 4. I call it blocks of 4. So I did 2 tests, had a break, 2 tests, had a break, 2 tests, had a break, 2 tests, had a break. So by the test number 8, I thought, do you know what? I'm not obviously meant to be driving. There was nothing wrong with my driving. I cannot abide sitting in an exam situation. I literally would go to pieces. I would sweat. Yeah, it was almost like an exam to me was the equivalent of seeing to some a ghost. That don't scare me either. I literally couldn't cope. My whole body went and shut down. I tried Rescue Remedy. You remember that first come out? I think calmed my nerves. Now we're talking about tests, you know, because you took yours early. That were 20 minutes long, if that. You then answered a few questions out the highway code, and off you went. And
Yeah,
this
it was
is
about 6
yeah.
questions.
This one couldn't do it. I even did it pregnant. I even did it pregnant with Lewis, and the bloke was quite insulting about me being an unmarried mum and said I wasn't fit to do an emergency stop. So being the spiky sort of person I was back then, I did the emergency stop without permission, asked him if that was good enough, and then told him to drive the car back himself, and I walked back to the test centre heavily pregnant. Obviously failed that one. He did get struck off 18 months later for sexual assault, funny enough.
Oh, so did well, that was my
So
driving instructor.
clearly, that's why he was upset, because this young one was having a baby at 23 and he couldn't do nothing. But anyway, but it proves to people out there, don't matter how pregnant you are, you can still do an emergency stop, because I did it. Anyway, I just thought, oh, I won't drive. And then I did a very naughty thing and drove illegally when I had the kids. But I know now that that's nothing to do with my driving. Again, it was about other people, and that's very naughty. So don't try this one at home. And then the kids got older, and suddenly Amy wanted to drive. I knew she'd be the first. Lewis always liked his bike and walking. So there she is at 17 saying, I want to drive. And mainly because she didn't want to get the bus to college, because she's a bit of a lazy one, that one. So she took her test. I paid for her lessons. I wanted my kids to have that life skill because I'd missed out. And I paid for all her lessons and she passed first time. And then in my head, I thought, you need to drive. All that money that was spent all those years ago, all that knowledge, and I wasn't driving. And I was working in transport, which made it worse, because if anyone knew that I couldn't drive, and I'm telling them what they. So I secretly had a few lessons, didn't forget anything, but had to learn the new stuff, and took my test and passed. But when I booked my test, bit long story, people, but we got there in the end. I booked, back in the old days, you just got told your test. You've sent away your test, and that's your test. There's your test. That's when you're doing it. I got the choice to book, and I booked 11:11 the time, which I thought was a bit random that you could even have that time, on the 11th of June 2011. And I passed first time. And I say first time because I'd had a 15-year break of not driving, and had to sit not only the theory test, but resit a test that's now 40 minutes, 45 minutes long, which is totally different to what.
Well, and separate, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
and not even in the same place. In the original test was always down near the seafront, and this test is now up the hill on the outskirts of Portsmouth, and I passed it with one of my original driving examiners, funny enough, because he remembered me. Must have remembered from my driving. But I picked it on purpose because I thought, "Do you know what? That's drawing me in. 11's always been quite a good number for me. So I picked it on purpose and I passed. Ever since my test, I've always seen 11 in a different way. What a fascinating thing, though. So, yeah, if anyone's worked
Isn't
that
it?
out, I've only been driving legally for 15 years.
Ah, she's quite a good driver. There's not many people I feel safe in the car with, and you're definitely one of them.
But it's not like I didn't try enough, innit? So if I couldn't drive by then, I definitely should have passed. But yeah, anyway, any more dreams? Because we've rambled on. Well, I've rambled on about things.
Well, I can't think of any offhand, and I think we're just about getting to the end of the
Yeah,
day.
we are.
End of the line. So anyway, guys, if you would like to comment on our recording when you see it about your funky dreams, because we will read them. Yeah, be interesting to know, and how you might have analysed them, for example, or how you might analyse my hands that had holes in dream. Let us know. It'd be very interesting. I didn't wake up traumatized, let's put it that way. I thought that was bloody weird. But yeah, so I think we've come to the end for today.
We
But
have. So if anyone is nearby, please do pop along tomorrow night to go on our pages, have a look, pop to our event tomorrow night with Peter Goddard. If not, we'll be back in a fortnight. We do have a guest back in the next fortnight. We'll make sure there's no planetary movement going on there, Polly. But we do have a couple of guests. Tilly is not our guest.
sorry,
We do have a few guests. It's just been unfortunate. I think it is that time of year and people get unwell and then you've got to keep juggling them around. And sometimes
people have got events, a lot of events going on as well, it seems.
and so we have to juggle, but sometimes it's not convenient to move the next guest down to the show. So we said this one we would do on our own anyway, but we will have a guest back. And it'd be, I know, I'm not going to say it would be in case something happens and they can't come on.
Yeah.
But it is a lady. There's a lady guest.
Really?
Right,
And if you at home do something interesting, spiritual, holistic, or perhaps, interested in joining us, let us know.
do you know
We
what?
can't promise, because we have got a list. But
Yeah, we've never actually said that. But if anyone is watching our show out there that's not in the UK and actually watching it at far field, please do comment and come on. We will love to have you on. And it doesn't always have to be spiritual. I know we are spiritual people and I know we do a lot of spiritual stuff, but we do talk about current affairs and the current sort of things at the moment, don't we? So
And if you know a lot about aliens, let us know.
we do need someone. So if there's anyone out
Yeah.
that's good on aliens, that has an absolute
Extraterrestrial stuff.
fascination and a lot of research on aliens, we would love to hear from you. Love to.
Absolutely.
So on that note, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.